Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very happy to be here again with English video. For the first, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you like films and books about dinosaurs? If yes, of course you know about the Jurassic Park, about the Lost World, which was written by Майклом Крайтоном, and we have wonderful films about this, about these wonderful stories. And if you really like dinosaurs, I pretty sure wanted to tell you about today the wonderful and very amazing story written by Майклом Крайтоном. It is Dragon Tears. So Dragon Tears, it is the last book which we have published now in our days, and this story was published after the Майклом Крайтон's death, because in 208 he was died, but somebody was found his a wonderful story, Dragon Tears, in his table, and started to imagine how he can finish this and publish this. So now we have this book, reminds us about the wonderful author Майклом Крайтоном, who very loved dinosaurs, who very loved paleontology, who very loved westerns, Wild West period, old America, and all of this. In this book we have all our actions in USA in 1876. We have the Bones War between two scientists, two professors. They were paleontologists, archaeologists, and they wanted to find firstly a lot of dragons' bones. Dragons, yes, like this one. Dragon means dinosaurs. It was a really Bones War which we have in reality in USA history. And a lot of people were killed by this war because these dinosaurs' bones was really expensive things, more expensive than gold and silver, and also diamonds. And a lot of people want to find the dinosaurs' bones for selling them and have big money. In our story we have the main character, who was William Johnson, and he was a student. He was from the good and rich family. He never think about where he can find money, what he need to do with his life, because all he know really what he wanna have in the future. So he was a student in a Yale University in America, and he one day was a bet with one person in the university about that he could find dinosaurs' bones too. But he couldn't do this like archaeologists and paleontologists, because he didn't have a license, he didn't know about anything about this life, about this work, and so on. And he understood that he must to be in expedition of these two professors who had a bones war. And he started to be a liar, because he wanted to tell him that he is a really good photographer and he has a really good camera, a very good and other things for making really good and very clear photographs of dinosaurs' bones, which would find in the future. And firstly, our main character was an expedition with one professor whose surname was Marsh, and he felt not good in this expedition because Marsh was not a good person, and he was thinking about why I didn't ask another professor to be in his expedition. Also, the professor started to think that our main character is a spy from another expedition, because our main character asked a lot of sometimes stupid, a lot of different questions about the archaeologist work, methodology, about how to be sure that you find really a dinosaur bone, not another creature bone, and other questions. And our professor understood that maybe he is a spy and he needs some information. He will take this information and give this to other professor, and this professor will would find, yes, if you want, these bones earlier than he. And he decided that he need to leave our new character, our main character, in the desert without food, without water, without anything. And also in this desert was a lot of Native Americans, and all people in expeditions were afraid that these Native Americans can attack them, could kill them, could do something bad things, because all American white people heard a lot of stories, bad stories, cruel stories about Native Americans, about their traditions and how they can kill. And our main character was alone in the desert, and from this moment he started to go alone through the desert, and surprisingly he found another professor. He asked him could he be with him in his expedition, because he not a spy, he's not a photographer, he's nobody. He just had a bet with another student, and he must win $1,000. I think $1,000 for 1876 was a really good money and a big money. So from this moment our main character traveled and have adventure with another professor, and they spend a lot of time, a lot of knowledge to find places in the Wild West where they can find really dinosaurs' bones. And you know, this story is really cool. This story is really atmospheric, because you can feel all these old towns, all this atmosphere of deserts, of Native Americans, small tribes, and so on. And this is really cool here. And also all our book travel with expeditions, with different expeditions, to try to win the Bones War and find more dinosaurs' bones for having them in using in science. But a lot of people here in the story, they're not professors, they're just people who wanted to have a lot of money, because they know that bones were expensive, and they wanted to sell them to a black market, for having more money. And these bad people, like bandits, and they are cruel people, they want to kill people in expeditions, because they knew a lot of information about bones, about where they can find them. And of course, these expeditions already have found a lot of bones, and these bones were with them in the carriage. And you know, this story is very attractive for people who like western films, who like story about Native Americans, who like fighting between white Americans and Native Americans in this period, who like to know more information about paleontology, about people who work there. But for me, as I like a lot dinosaurs, I like how they looks like, I like everything about dinosaurs. For me, not a lot of information I have about real dinosaurs, about their bones, about what type of dinosaurs they found, about what kind of creature could be if it's not a dinosaur's bones, and so on. For me, it was not a lot good information, like to have a chance to be good for my curious. And you see, sometimes I had questions in this story, like holes, like you start to read one line with some characters and this line not finished, and it's just in a mess, and you thinking about where is this line. I wanted to know something about these characters, where are they? But sometimes it's just holes in the plot. And you know, I read a lot of articles about these holes, and people say, scientists say, and publishing houses say that these holes were because Michael Crichton didn't finish by himself the story, and another authors tried to imagine Michael Crichton's thoughts and put them in the story. So that's why sometimes we have the beginning of the line in the plot, but we don't have the finishing of it. And this is very sorry and very pity, because these lines are really interesting sometimes. Also, what I wanted to tell you, in the beginning of the book, author Michael Crichton said that all information, all situations, all problematical things, all characters, they are not true, they are not realistic. We didn't have them in the real world. But you know, when we start to read the book, we have a lot of information that these people were really in USA history. They were really paleontologists or another professors or another people who just have some work there. And we have a question, why author didn't tell us that yes, it is a realistic story from some dates and situations from the history, from real history of USA. Why he said it is lie? Because not. We have a lot of things here And also, before the video, I wanted to understand what was the Bones War. It was the realistic thing in the USA history in 1876. When two professors, Marsh and Cope, wanted to be the first who could find a lot of bones, more than another professor. And it was really horrible, a very bloody and a very sarcastic war, because these professors were very bad guys. They didn't think about what they really do, how they can do this, because a lot of killing, a lot of lies, a lot of other things, not good things, were really in this Bones War. And these situations, not all, but some of them we have in this story. I think that Michael Crichton had a lot of reports and dates about the real story from the history about these two professors, and wanted to show us how not correct sometimes to be a professor if you live in 1876 and you wanted to be the first, the best and the most famous paleontologist and archaeologist in the world. So that's why I wanted to tell you that this story is really good if you like all these points. If you are interested in finding golds, because we have here some information about gold fever. If you like old Salons, old Wild West, old Native Americans, some traditions and tribes, all here we have. And of course, dinosaurs, but not so much. Also, I wanted to tell you about the covering. I'm really glad that in Russian edition, I have Russian edition, we have the real American covering, and I'm really glad that our publishers didn't change this. It's like how they published this in native town, so we have it in our country too. And I'm really happy. Also, I wanted to tell you that the story is not so big. The story is about 300 pages, and sometimes you have these questions with not finishing line, yes, as I told you about, but it's not give you a chance not to like the story. The story is not bad. The story is really interesting, and you can spend 1, 2, or maximum 3 evenings just sitting and reading this, and you will really enjoy this, I'm sure. But sometimes you really have idea in your head that this is not like a book, it's like a plot for a film. It's like maybe Michael Crichton wanted to make firstly film, then maybe book, and this looks like sometimes like for films things. For example, we can have here a small town with white Americans who just having a gold fever, they could find a gold and other things. Also, in this town, our expeditions can come with a lot of bones, they can speak about bones, and sometimes you don't feel some emotions from the characters. You don't feel atmosphere, like you had atmosphere, but once it's just missed, and you can't understand what's happened. And sometimes I thought that maybe author would like to have real film or maybe a serial about this book, like to be attentive to actors who can show these emotions, to show these things which really we didn't have in some situations in the book. I wanted to tell you like this. Also, I'm really glad that in other countries we have another coverings of this, not like all cover for all countries in the world. And I will show you this, of course, as usual in our English video, because I'm really glad to show you how can be published in other countries with different coverings, with different styles of writing. And I think it's very interesting because I really love to watch different coverings of books which I really liked. So I wanted to tell you that this is 4 out of 5 for me, because I really love Native Americans, I really love old America, I really love dinosaurs, but for me dinosaurs is not enough here. I wanted to know a lot of new information more about dinosaurs and their types, their kinds, their bones, and so on. Also, my friends, I really recommend this if you like all points which I said you in the beginning, and I will really happy if you already read this, or maybe you plan to read this. Please write me something if you did something from this. Maybe you have plans, maybe you have read this about, or you have information about this. Also, I know that in the future, in America, they wanted to have a serial about the Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton, and I think it will be the really good things for having old American atmosphere. Thank you, my friends, for watching the video. I hope you really like and you really understand my English for the Michael Crichton's Dragon Teeth, and I really recommend you this book. I tell you again about this. Thank you for watching, my friends. Bye.